Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Obsidian Anubis, and I'm back with another 9th Age battle report. This time it's Game 2 at the OFCC that we had this past August. Once more, it's the 13th Border Army, aka Empire of Sonstal, this time versus Saurian Ancients. Alright, so if we look at the list, we can see my opponent on the far right. He has 5 Raptor Riders, and in there is a Cowboy, Saurian Veteran with the Touch of Greatness, Lucky Charm, Potion of Swiftness. To the left of that are 2 salamanders, and then in those ruins are a group of skinks, and there was also a skink priest with the Book of Arcane Mastery and Path of Druidism. And then, oops, wrong direction. And then over here in the center, my opponent has a big block of Saurus warriors with the Ether icon. And then to the left of them on that hill are my opponent's Temple Guard with the Totem of Mixolotl and the Cotter Lord, who has the Essence of Free Mind, the Binding Scroll, Rending Banner, and Grasp of Immortality, and has the Path of Alchemy and Pyromancy. And then on the far left, another group of 5 Raptor Riders with another Cowboy who has the Titanic Might and Basalt Infusion. Alright, so actually I'm going to go back. So this is actually after my opponent already moved. So again, for my list, on the far right, I have my just 5 knights, the Pale Knights, so 5 Electoral Cavalry with Musician, Knightly Order, and Cavalry Hammers, and they have a Musician. And then in the water there, I have my 10 Hestia with Militia and Skirmishing. Behind them are the Brothers of Uller, which have 23 Flagellants with a Champion, and with them is a Prelate who has the Black Plate, Shield, Dusk Forge, and Hero's Heart, and the Talisman of the Void. To the left of them, I have the 13th Cohort Auxiliary, which is 20 Heavy Infantry with Musician and Banner. And to the left of them are my Guardians of Uller, Imperial Guard with Great Weapons, Full Command, and the Household Standard. With them is my General. He is a Prelate with the Imperial Seal, Lucky Charm, and a Great Weapon. Behind them is my Wizard of Divination. He's a Master with Light Armor, Alchemist Alloy. He's on the Arcane Engine of Foresight and has the Magical Heirloom and Talisman of Shielding. And then on the far left of this picture is my big block of the unlucky 13th Cohort, which are 40 Heavy Infantry with Halberds, Full Command, and the Banner of Unity. And with them is my Martial BSB, who has the Winter Cloak and is a great tactician. And then on the left side, I have the 13th the Black Crows, which are 15 Light Infantry with Musician and Banner, and they have the Marksman Pennant, and then another group of 24 Flagellants called the Followers of Uller. Alright, so this was actually after my opponent moved, so you can see on my opponent's left side, they moved up, grabbing that token. So this is the secondary objective where you want to grab those 3 tokens, and then you can move around the board with them. It was a diagonal deployment. So you can see on the left side, my opponent moved up and touched the icon with his Raptor Riders. In the center, his Saurus Warriors moved up but didn't quite make it to the icon. And then over here on the right-hand side, you can see that the other group of Raptor Riders with the Veteran moved up to claim that objective. So my opponent moved up fairly aggressively, and we didn't start that far apart. So I went ahead and ordered a number of charges. I charged my Knights into the Raptor Riders. I charged the Halberdiers and the Great Weapons, Great Swords, or the Imperial Guard, into the Saurus block in the center. However, I only managed to actually achieve one of those charges. Only the Knights made the charge. This picture is actually taken after combat. You can see that I killed, I think, 1 Saurus Warrior. In return, he killed 4 of mine. I broke from combat, and you can see my 1 Knight running away at the bottom of this picture. So my opponent pursued and then overran into my Militia. And then you can see my charges on the left-hand side into his Spearmen neither of my units made it, and it wasn't that far of a charge. I think I had to roll like a 10, and I ended up rolling like a 7 and a 6 or something. It was pretty bad for charges. I ended up managing to kill a couple, though, through magic and through shooting, though. So in Saurian Ancient turn 2, you can see my opponent charge this Spear block into my Halberdiers, and then moved up to Salamanders to start shooting at my Imperial Guard. He moved the Temple Guard with the Quadrilord off the hill, and then on the left-hand side, he's kind of playing peekaboo with my 5 readers on the far left that weren't in any picture so far, but they've been kind of shooting and trying to take my opponent's second block of Raptor Riders kind of out of the battlefield, which at the moment they're kind of doing. So this picture is on my opponent's turn 2. We end up killing each other. No one really breaks. So we will fight again. Oh, no, sorry. My opponent actually wins combat, breaks me, but fails to catch me, I believe. And then on the far right, my opponent easily manages to wipe out the militia and then runs into the flagellants there in the water. So because this is a tournament, unfortunately I did miss a few pictures, so we'll actually jump to my turn 3. So kind of jump in the future. You can see that my halberdiers have rallied from losing to the Saurus warriors. You can also see that the Saurus warriors are missing. I managed to flank charge them with my Imperial Guard and broke them and killed them, and then overran into the Temple Guard. Actually, I don't think I overran. I think I just reformed to face my opponent, who then, on his turn, which is now being pictured, charged into my Imperial Guard with his Temple Guard and his Quixote. You can see I do have quite a couple of number of buffs off from my wagon there. You can see Stars of the Line, and the one that gives you +2 weapon skill, defensive skill, and initiative. However, you can see that I have taken a number of wounds, both on my General and my Wizard. So on the far right of this picture, you notice that my the detachment of the Unlucky 13th Cohort Auxiliary, the 20 Heavy Infantry, they are not on this picture. They actually didn't break from combat. They ran across the board, basically, and are now in combat with my opponent's Skinks and Priest. They end up charging the Salamanders because they got too close, overran, caught them, and then overran into the Skinks in the top left of this picture. They fought a number of rounds here before they actually end up losing this combat. The Skinks actually managed to outkill my poor heavy infantry and actually broke them from combat and then chased them down. On the far right of this picture, on the water, you can see that my opponent's Raptor Riders, they got pretty eaten up by my Flagellants. However, in return, my Flagellants couldn't really do much to my opponent. His 1-up armor save, even with a -2, was really kind of clogging this unit up. So I think after this turn, I ended up just challenging with my 1 prelate in the far left there, kind of wearing white and has a book on his back. He was pretty well kitted out. He also had a 1-up rerollable armor save. So we ended up kind of hitting each other back and forth for a number of rounds before I finally managed to break him. So we're going to jump forward a little bit again. So you can see that my opponent managed to kill the Imperial Guard in the ruins, and then my General, who's the only remaining model, fled, who then rallied on my turn. You can see my light infantry, the Black Crows, they, I think, fled from a unit being, from my Imperial Guard being broken, and so fled to where they are, where you see them now. So my General rallied on my turn, and then he charged them on his turn again. You can see on the far left that my other block of Flagellants is basically untouched and has one of the 3 icons. The Temple Guard has the 2nd icon, and the 3rd icon is far out on the right in no man's land. And then you can see the Raptor Riders that managed to kill the readers on the far left have managed to come back and kind of join the battle. So as you can imagine, this combat with my General does not go well. I actually don't think he killed me outright. I think I broke from combat again, and he caught me and then overran into my fleeing unit of light infantry and caught them and killed them. You can also see on the far right of this picture that the Skinks have kind of moved up, and then my wagon has also moved up. So this brings us to kind of the end of the game almost. So you can see that my Halberdiers have kind of moved up. So I end up charging them into the Skinks who flee into the ruins. I then charge them with my wagon, which causes them to flee again. And they land just on the other side of my Flagellants, which are in the top right of this picture. So they end up charging them just to push them off the board. So through 3 charges, I managed to finally push that 1 unit of Skinks off the board. And then I'm kind of just out of I'm kind of out of sync with the rest of my army because those 3 units all kind of way out to the right, and then I have my 1 unit of Flagellants kind of here in the center. So the next 2 turns, so I wheel my Flagellants around. He ends up using his 1 Raptor Rider cowboy and the 2 remaining raptor riders as chaff and manage to block up my flagellant. So I charge in, I kill both the remaining raptor riders and put I think a wound or 2 on the veteran, but he managed to hold them up, and then they killed enough that they didn't break from combat. He didn't auto break from combat, so he ended up passing his leadership test, and so I got stuck there and wasn't able to overrun into the Temple Guard with the Quetzal Lord. So the game ends like that. We both have one icon. My flagellants in the left of this picture, which are kind of falling off, have one, and then my opponent's Temple Guard have the second. The third is far to the right with no one claiming it. I ended up doing pretty well on this one, though, so I have this unit of flagellants, my other unit of flagellants still left on the board. I still have some of my halberdiers with my BSB, and I have 3 of my characters. Unfortunately, my general was one of the characters who did die, so my opponent did get that. And so it ended up being a 12-8, I believe, in my favor, so it was a minor victory, and we tied on the secondary objective, so no one got the secondary objective. So I ended up pulling a slight win through, which is, I felt good. I mean, I play Lizardmen a lot, so I feel like I should do well against Lizardmen, or Saurian Ancients, excuse me. So I thought this was a pretty good matchup. Once more, it was a very bloody game, which I really enjoyed. I didn't bring a whole lot of shooting, just that one unit of light infantry, which didn't do much. They ended up shooting a few Star Warriors before they ran off the board. So they weren't all that effective, but I thought the rest of the army did pretty well. It was very combat oriented, and once more, it was another good bloody fight. Yeah, so this was game 2 of the OFCC. I have 2 more games. Well, technically 3 more games, so it's a 5-game event. So this is the middle of the second day. So I have 1 more on the first day, and then I have 2 more for the next day. Yeah, it was a great game. My opponent was fantastic. I really enjoyed playing him. And actually, I've played this opponent 3 times now, and this was probably our best game. And by best, I mean it was the closest game. We had a lot of close calls. It was kind of tugging back and forth. We didn't know who was going to win. So it was a really good game, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, if you guys saw anything or would like to make any comments, put those in the comment section below. There's still a couple more games coming, but as always, game on.